Nigerian-born British lawmaker Kemi Badenoch won a race on Saturday to become the new leader of Britain's Conservative Party, vying to return the once dominant party to its founding principles to win back voters who handed the Conservatives the worst election defeat in July. The first black woman leader of a major political party in Britain, 44-year-old Badenoch replaces former Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. She has pledged to lead the party through a period of renewal, saying it had veered towards the political center by government from the left and must return to its traditional ideas.
The task that stands before us is tough but simple. Our first responsibility as His Majesty's loyal opposition is to hold this Labour government to account. Our second is no less important. It is to prepare over the course of the next few years for government, to ensure that by the time of the next election, we have not just a clear set of Conservative pledges that appeal to the British people, but a clear plan for how to implement them. A clear plan to change this country by changing the way that government works. The Prime Minister is discovering all too late the perils of not having such a plan. That huge job begins today. The time has come to tell the truth, to stand up for our principles, to plan for our future, to reset our politics and our thinking, and to give our party and our country the new start that they deserve. It is time to get down to business. It is time to renew. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Kemi Badenoch there. The Chief Justice, however, of Botswana, Terence Ranuane, has declared Barrister Duma Gideon Boko as the new president of the Republic of Botswana, subsequent to receiving a writ of elections from the Independent Electoral Commission of Botswana. The new president is expected to make his acceptance speech anytime today. In a historic shift, Botswana's president, Mokgweetsi Masisi, conceded defeat in the general election Friday, ending the Botswana Democratic Party's 58-year-old on power since independence. Masisi announced his concession before final results were tallied, with the PDP trailing in fourth place and the opposition umbrella for democratic change taking a commanding lead. Botswana, long celebrated for its stability and reliance on diamond exports, faces economic challenges, including rising unemployment and a downturn in diamond demand that became key election issues. I'm now being joined by Ambassador Jibrin Chinade, who was Nigeria's ambassador to Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, and Cape Verde, to The Hague, the Netherlands, and the Russian Federation, with concurrent accreditation to the Commonwealth of Independent States countries, 16 countries in total. He was also Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I also have joining the program Professor Jideofor Adibe, a professor of political science at Nasarawa State University, Kefi, and founder of Adonis and Abe Publishers. Prof, good to have you. We're still expecting Ambassador Chinade to join us. He will join us shortly. But it's good to have you, my friend, Professor Adibe, on the program. Quickly, let's start with Kemi Badenoch. Now,
thank you very much.
She's British, Nigerian, British. There's some excitement among Nigerians. Oh, it looks like, one of us, Nigerian parents who attended ISI and later went to England. It's likely perhaps sometime in the future to emerge as a Prime Minister of Great Britain. Well, should that be the significance for us in Nigeria? Or Kemi Badenoch, who has shown Uncle Tom tendencies, is just British as they come. Let's start with our own connection with our story.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Bertie. The first thing is the hurrah effect. The hurrah effect is that, wow, if Kemi Badenoch could do it, I might as well be able to do it. And that's a very important thing. The second thing is that I believe that her Nigerian upbringing helped to make it possible for her, to get to the top of the Conservative Party. Yes, she was born in Wimbledon in the United Kingdom, but she grew up in Lagos. It was only when she was 16 years old that she returned to the UK. The father was a GP, general practitioner. The mother was a professor in the United States. So she had a middle-class background, if you want to say. But when she returned, she was able to do her A-levels and to rise to the top in such a way that by 2010, she was already trying to get into the London Assembly, which is like being a local councillor. Some people have argued, and I believe that this who be you in street lingo, who be you in Nigeria, that mentality that I can do it, the Nigerian mentality, helped her because if she had been raised up in the UK, there's what they call institutional racism. Of course, discrimination is in every culture, but there are structures that will probably have helped to lower her expectations of how far she can go. That is one side of it. However, Kemi Badenoch has also been very controversial. She's even more right-wing than an average white, Briton. If you take her opinions on immigration, where, for example, as late as September 2024, she wrote to the Telegraph concerning the conversations around immigration in Britain. She said, yes, when it comes to immigrations, not all countries are valid. And then she also made other comments about the country she ran away from, which is Nigeria. She doesn't want the UK to be like the country she ran away from. She more or less defended colonialism. She has been accused of being very combative and bullying in workplace. At a point, she said about 10% of the approximately 500,000 civil servants in the UK don't get it and deserve to be in prison. So we are waiting to see how, she will be able to unify the Conservative Party, because she said she wants to return them to the first principle. Her heroes, Winston Churchill, and then Margaret Thatcher. Let's see whether she will, be able to leverage on her roots as a Nigerian and bring more humanness into her politics, or whether she wants to be a smaller version of Donald Trump.
Well, Professor Adibe, she says she wants to renew the party. She wants to get down to business. She wants to move the Conservative Party, which has now become so centrist, so liberal, back to where it's supposed to be. Can she do it? Yeah, she won convincingly, but can she do it? Are you confident that when she shows up on Wednesday at Prime Minister's question time, she'll be able to play that role of the leading opposition leader confronting Sir Keir Starmer?
I think it is when you lose an election, especially in countries like Britain, people always think new leaders will think of how to reposition the party. Remember Margaret Thatcher, when she came, she moved the party had moved almost to the left of the center, and she had to bring it more, into the right. Tony Blair, when she came in, the Labour Party had moved, become extreme left, so to say, and he had to move the Labour Party, if you want, to the left of the center. So it is often, what you expect of leaders, especially when they lost the way they did. They have only 121 members in the parliament, a historic defeat. So it makes sense that she tries now to get to the base, to appeal to the base. That's the real conservatives. And the conversation now is on immigration. The pure conservative is on immigration, and to use a black face, the face of a black woman of Nigerian extraction, to fight that immigration, I think it's probably what will excite the conservatives. Another important lesson that we can learn from this is that when you move into an area, you need to be able to adjust in such a way that they can say, you are one of us. So she has so much moved her views even more or less denying her. No, okay, she didn't deny her roots, because in her first parliamentary speech in 2017, she did say, yes, I'm a first-generation immigrant. But that's where she stopped. I haven't seen her give credit to her roots, but we see how it works out, whether she will be able to leverage. Even within the Conservative Party, there are also tendencies. There are those who are believing that she's not even right-wing enough, and there are those who are also concerned that she's too right-wing. But the thing that we don't take away from her is that she has been able to excite the real conservative base, the right-wing conservative base. Whether that will be enough to unite the party will be a different thing.
Okay, let's talk about the reaction from the Labour Party. Rachel Reeves, only a few days ago, presented the budget on October 31st, to be precise. And now she's saying, well, looks like one of the things that Kemi Badenoch will do will be to tear into that budget, a budget that the Tories have dismissed as irresponsible. Now, do you think that the Labour Party is just playing politics, whether they like it or not? They should not expect that Kemi Badenoch will be on their side, and the budget will be the right place to start. A budget that is saying the Tories left a black hole of 22 billion pounds. They've increased it even to 50 billion pounds, and they're saying Kemi Badenoch is promising change. She will soon announce her shadow cabinet, even if some persons have ruled themselves out of that shadow cabinet. What do you think we will likely see in this re-energized politics in Britain?
Dr. Bati, I like the word you used, re-energized, but is it really re-energized? For the Labour Party to be the first budget in 14 years. So there is excitement to look at what they are presenting. But Badenoch has also been part of the government, the last three governments, from Boris to Theresa May to Liz Truss. So they will also accuse her, whatever she attacks the government or the new government, they will remind her that she was part of the last government, the last three governments that failed. The important thing, the good thing about the British system where it works is the Prime Minister's time. We'll see the debates and what happens. But I don't think it will just be a debate. It's too early in the days. What happens in parliamentary system is, if it gets to a point where a major mistake is made and that you have to call in for a no confidence vote, and that's where things get decisive. At this stage, it's more like two fighters sizing each other up, and it will take a while before we come to that stage where there will be conversations of whether there will be a no confidence vote or whether the government will quickly discover that the momentum is on its side and then call for another election. It's still a far way from before we get to that point.
Okay, with the Tories sorting out their issue, it definitely will have more interesting days ahead in British politics. But let me digress a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, in a few days' time, it will be election time, crunch time in the United States. What is your take? What should we expect? The return of Donald Trump or a revolution in the politics of America and a new direction for global politics? It's a digression. You were to talk on other topics, but
yes,
I can't resist the temptation.
Yes, no, that's a very interesting one. As I said, the Nostradamus of U.S. politics, Professor Alan Lichtman, had, said that despite all the talks that he was still expecting Kamala Harris to win by a wide margin. I think it's very uncertain now, if you ask me my opinion, because the polls that are coming from the battleground states like Nevada, like Pennsylvania, are just too close to call. And on the national average, Kamala Harris is leading slightly. My fears, and I think I said this the last time I was with you, and I have two fears, or even two major fears. With the polls being too close at this stage, are the opinion polls being conducted, do they reflect true voters' intention? You know, this, the Douglas Wilder effect, because many of the voters will conceal their true intentions, those you are asking of their opinion, especially it happens when a black candidate is facing a white candidate. Second is that there is a woman. And what we have read is that Kamala Harris is having a hell of a time with black male voters in the U.S. So we still don't know. It's just too close. And we may get into a scenario where maybe Kamala Harris wins the popular vote and the electoral college decision goes a different direction. Another thing that I think is very, very important in this is the escalating violence, the escalating tension in the Middle East. And in election years, it tends to be who is more pro-Israel. And, you know, in this extent, Donald Trump, in his first coming, was able to move the American embassy to Jerusalem. That's something all the presidential candidates, most of them had talked about it, but none did it except him. And then also with tensions around the globe, Trump was able to say, despite the fact that, you know, many people still believe he's a threat to democracy around the world, that during his tenure, when he was president, you did not have the kind of strifes we have currently across the globe, across the world. And that he will be able to put a stop to the Ukraine war and will be able to calm down the tension in the Middle East. We don't know, but that's something that in terms of where do the candidates stand in terms of support for Israel, I think Donald Trump picks the point here.
Okay, thank you very much for now, Prof. I'll still come back to you because there's still Botswana to talk about. But I understand we have Ambassador Chinade with us now. Great delight to have you on the program, Ambassador Chinade. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. Well, quickly, I wanted you to react to the latest development in Britain with the emergence of Kemi Badenoch as the leader of the Conservative Party. And she has Nigerian connections. Some people are saying, hello, can you hear me, sir?
I can't hear you well.
But I was talking about Kemi Badenoch. Kemi Badenoch? Imagine.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I was asking about Kemi Badenoch.
Yes.
How important you think that is, considering the fact that she shares Nigerian and British heritage. Born in London, raised in Nigeria, now leader of the Conservative Party.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me to give my own opinion. I think I will first of all say congratulations to our Nigerian British politician, Kemi Badenoch, won the leadership of the Conservative Party, being the first black person to win such a very important political post in the United Kingdom. This indeed is a great personal achievement.
Okay, looks like we lost connection with Ambassador Jibril Chinade there. So let me come back to you very quickly, Professor Jideofor Adibe. And I would like you to comment on this development, the latest development in Botswana, where the ruling party has lost power after 58 years. And whether this has something to do with the feud between Masisi and the former President President Khama, who had to go on exile in South Africa and came back and supported another political party and made it clear that he will remove his successor from power. And he seems to have done so. And now the Umbrella for Democratic Change, the leading opposition party, has won the election. What does this say about democracy in Africa?
Well, thank you. To the extent that an opposition party won and that the ruling party conceded, You can call it the Jonathan, as Jonathan did. So it seems to be like an endorsement that the democratic space in Botswana may be expanding. But then, as you also rightly mentioned, there was a determined effort to remove the man in power. It doesn't stop the fact that democracy faces a challenge. There's a regression. Election is only one element of the democratic process. We have to interrogate the whole process, including freedoms, freedom of speech, freedom of choice. And I can say at this stage that to the extent that the ruling party was able to to concede victory, concede defeat, that we should be able to say, well, that's a good thing happening. This is in contradistinction to what's happening elsewhere, where, as I said earlier in one of the programs here, we have now 3 forms of coup d'etat. Either the military are taking over, or you have constitutional coup making, that is elongation of tenures, or you have rigging. So far, we are yet to get a clearer picture of whether there are accusations about rigging or not. But the important news flowing from that country is that the party that lost power has conceded.
Yeah, very good. Thank you very much. I understand that we have Ambassador Chinade back with us. Your Excellency, good to have you back with us. You were talking about Kemi Badenoch, and you were congratulating her on her historic achievement.
Yeah. Yes. I think it's a great personal achievement for Kemi Badenoch to win the Conservative leadership, competing with 6 members of the party. This is a lady who had been in Britain, or had been in Parliament only since 2017. And for her to emerge as a leader of the Conservative Party is a great personal achievement for her, and indeed for her country, Nigeria.
Well, but will she be able to effect the change that she's talking about? She's been saying she will reform the Labour Party, the Conservatives Party. She will challenge the Labour Party. Do you think she's ready for the work? Considering the fact that her ideological position is a bit, in a state of flux.
I think is the big challenge. Knowing Britain fairly well, I have lived in that country for over 13 years. I know the Conservative as much as the Labour. And for a Nigerian lady background, who is, of course, a British citizen now, to lead the Conservative Party is a great personal achievement for her. But she will certainly have a lot of challenges in the sense that she has, first of all, to unite her own party, the Conservative Party. She competed against 6 prominent politicians, and she now has to lead all the members of Parliament. The Conservative Party has 121 members in the British Parliament today, and they will all have to be led by this very prominent personality, Kemi Badenoch. In addition to that, she has also to face a very strong Labour-led parliament with a majority of well over 400 members. And for her to make an impact on the Labour Party policies in a way that she will position herself to win the next election will be a great challenge, and in fact is a great work for her in the years to come. She has a very strong Labour-led parliament with a majority of over 400. She was only a minister for a few years, Minister of Business in the last Conservative government. And of course, her first most challenging duty is to unite the Conservative Party to take on the Labour Party. She has to do that We will see her ability in the next Wednesday when she confronts the Prime Minister during the Prime Minister's questions in Parliament. This indeed will give us the nature of her policies. At the moment, she is trying to work out her shadow cabinet. She hasn't got the shadow cabinet yet, but she has to work out this within the next few days and have a team that will be able to take on the Labour Party with a view to winning the next election. We pray that she will do her best. That's all we can hope for at the moment. It's too early to assess her on what she can do to the Labour Party in the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ambassador Chinade. She's leading a party that is smaller, that has, a smaller number in parliament, a party that is also divided. But what are the kind of issues that you think she may likely foreground, starting with Rachel Reeves' budget of October 31 to start with, but she has made a number of controversial statements also about immigration, about the workforce.
Of course, first of all, I'm not a conservative man for her. I'm not holding brief for her policies. She has a very strong right-wing views, first of all on immigration, on question of some important policy issues of the Conservative Party, which she holds very dear. She is a right-wing member of the Conservative Party. She's not a liberal of the Conservative. She's a right-wing member. So she will have to take on, first and foremost, the economy. The British politics has been very much around the economy, performance of the British government on its economy. Second, she has to unite the various factions of the Conservative Party. At the same time, she has to take on the Labour Party on foreign policy, because the Labour Party and the Conservative Party have vast differences in terms of foreign policy and some important national issues like immigration. The question of crossing the channel, which is a very important policy for the British, is also one of the issues which we are still waiting for her to identify her policy. She keeps on talking her basic principles. During the elections, she did not really articulate clearly what her policy would be to lead the Conservative Party. But now that she has been elected, she's leading the Conservative Party in Parliament. She has to articulate her policies against those that are very well known of the Labour Party. So she has indeed a lot of challenges to face in the British political system.
Well, Your Excellency, before I let you go, trying to manage time, I would like you to comment on the latest development in Botswana, where the ruling party, after 58 years, lost power. And now we have the umbrella for democratic change coming to power. And Masisi is left out in the cold.
I think what we are hoping for in Africa is democracy. For democracy to operate successfully, peacefully, and to give an expression of the views of the people. The Botswana people have made up their decisions to elect a new government. All we can say as Nigerians or as Africans is to pray for a peaceful country, a peaceful transition, and good governance for the people of Botswana. Democracy is not based only on election. It's a question of accountability, transparency, and the rule of law. So we hope and pray that the democratic system in Botswana will establish these basic principles of accountability, transparency, and the rule of law, and the people will really benefit from their choice of a new president for their country. We wish them good luck.
Okay, Ambassador, as I try to close this segment of the program, I just need your comment. In less than a minute, on the presidential election in the U.S. When we wake up the morning of November 6th, what's your prediction? Who do you think will win? Trump or Kamala Harris?
We are looking.
I don't want a diplomatic answer. Just tell me. You think this is the person that will
No,
win?
I'm not going to give you a diplomatic answer. I'm going to give you my own personal assessment. I have closely followed the elections in the United States. As I was saying, just before you came in, we discussed it with some of your crew, who is going to win. I said, the decision is left to the American people, the American electorate will choose their president on Tuesday. We can only hope and pray that the better candidate for the American electorate will emerge as their president by Wednesday. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Ambassador Chinonde. As you close, let me come back to you, Professor Jideofor Adibe. Trump or Kamala Harris? Briefly. Professor Jideofor Adibe.
Well, as I said, I'm looking at a situation where one candidate will win the Electoral College and another one wins the popular vote. But let me just say one thing about Badenoch. The first challenge she may face will be from minorities, Nigerians in particular, because she proclaimed herself anti-woke. And you know what that anti-woke means. It's an American slang, wake up. All those, to structures they feel put down the black people. So it came to become now called woke. And she said anti-woke means all those structures put in place to help open up the space for discriminated minorities. She's against them. That's the interpretation.
Okay.
And unless she's able to move herself to the center of the right, she will have problems.
Prof, we need to go. We all know somebody will win electoral college votes. Another person will win popular vote. Who is your choice? Even if you don't have a choice in the matter.
I don't have a vote. I don't have a vote. So let me follow the direction of my Ambassador Jibrin, which I'm extending my greetings to him here. One person will win. I'm just saying that it will not be the person that will have the majority popular vote will not be the person that will gain the electoral college. Okay. And it is the electoral college vote that determines who becomes the president.
Okay. Thank you. But as for
thank you very much.
Kemi Badenoch, you Nigerians, you will fight us in Nigeria. A Nigerian will do well in other countries. You will still go there and fight the person. I think it's something in our DNA. But thank you very much, Professor Jideofor Adibe, and thank you, Your Excellency Ambassador Jibrin Chinade.